Hey everyone, you are listening to Business Minds Coffee Chat, and I am your host, Jay Scherr, and I am super excited today. I've got a fantastic guest right here in the studio with me today. My guest is a husband to Lana. He's a father, and he's a man with an incredible story of resilience and purpose. Originally from New Jersey, he spent years working as a crane operator and helicopter pilot before moving to Florida in 2019 when his wife began her medical residency in Gainesville. Following a lifelong dream and a proud family legacy in law enforcement, he graduated from the police academy at the top of his class at the age of 45 and joined the Marion County Sheriff's Office in 2020. But in March of 2021, everything changed. While responding to a call for a suspicious vehicle, he made an arrest for drug possession. And about a week later, he was put into an internal investigation, suspended, and his badge and gun were taken. He was later criminally charged with making false statements and ultimately resigned under duress. Since then, he and his wife have moved to Flagler Beach, which we're thrilled to have them here in Flagler Beach. And he's been fighting a years-long legal and personal battle to clear his name and rebuild his life. And he bought a food truck and started Rustic Dough Works in Flagler Beach. Please welcome David Scherr. David, it is so great to see you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Jay. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate both of you being here. Lana is here with us as well. So, David, I thought a good way to start off our conversation with everything that I just mentioned in the intro, and obviously that just scratches the surface. There's a lot more to that story.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to ask you this. If you were writing your autobiography today, what do you think a good title for that book would be?
It's funny. I'm actually working on a book myself right now.
Okay.
And the title, I haven't come up with a title yet. It's one of those things that it's probably one of the hardest things about writing a book is coming up with a good title.
Sure.
Because the title tells you everything that's going on. And in our lives, it's been a roller coaster since we've been here in Florida. So roller coaster of life.
Roller coaster of life. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good one. We're gonna mark
Yeah.
we're gonna mark that one down.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd like to go back in time a bit here and talk about what life was like for you growing up. So early years, obviously you've got a long history of family members in law enforcement. Matter of fact, I read that your grandmother, I believe, was the very first female police officer
Yes.
in New Jersey. Is that right?
In Morris County.
In
Yes.
Morris County,
Yeah. So
okay.
she started as a crossing guard, and then they needed a female officer to do like strip searches and stuff in the jail. And my dad was working in the jail at the time, so my dad came home and said, "Hey, they're looking for a female officer. Would you want to do that?" And she's back then crossing guard wasn't an officer, but she was part of the clique,
Okay.
I would say. And then she went to the academy, and they put her through the academy, and she became an officer for the jail.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me what life was like for you as a child. Were you rambunctious at all? Were you a rule follower?
No,
What
I
were
wasn't
you
a
like?
rule follower at all. Matter of fact, I was hell on wheels with my dad. Between me and my brother, we did some stupid things, growing up as a kid. We grew up in part of our life, we grew up in the city, and then part of the life, we grew up in a rural area.
Which did you prefer?
I liked the city.
Okay.
I really did like Newark. Newark was a really cool town. But, like anything, then we moved out to Montville. Then I actually lived in Tennessee with my mom when they got divorced. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, but yeah. So They, as a kid, I mean, I should say I followed the rules more than my brother did, but we were both hellraisers.
Is your brother younger or older?
Older,
Older brother.
yeah.
So parents split up.
Yep, they split. Yep.
What age were you when they went their separate ways?
14.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so you were young. You were
Yeah.
you were a teenager.
Yeah.
And tell me, what was, as you think about your parents when they were together, what was one of the most valuable lessons that you learned from your mother? And then I want to flip the coin and tell me what one of the most valuable lessons was that you learned from your dad.
From my mom would be cooking.
Cooking.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to cook a lot with her. She loved cooking.
Okay.
She was French, so she was really into cooking. She loved all types of cooking, and she was just really strict about being honest. No matter what the situation was, no matter how bad it is, you just tell the truth. Just it's just easier that way. And sometimes in life, I think we go through life thinking that, well, I could tell that little white lie. It's not that big of a deal. And sometimes it isn't. But, obviously, if you're married and your wife says, hey, how do I look? Sometimes you don't want to be totally honest, but you do, but right. It's the truth, right?
Sure.
But yeah, just to be honest.
Yeah.
And cooking was a real big thing in my family. We all
Did you
loved to
cook together?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
all the time. Yeah, cooked
Okay.
all together. Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah. Every Sunday we have dinner. It was a big thing, family dinner. And then from my father's side, I think I would have to say like integrity.
Okay.
Part of it, and being like a good business guy. He was a good business guy.
Okay.
He was a police officer, but he also owned a restaurant. He owned a farm. I mean, like he did like crazy things. He did a cider mill. I mean, it was just like endless things that he did too.
Kind of like an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, there. So I grew up around that. My grandfather, he was the same way. He had a fence business called Troy Fence in Parsippany, New Jersey, which was a really big fence company. And they were all business guys.
Okay.
So I was always around the dinner table, and I listened to stuff about cops, and I listened to stuff about business, and it was always like, so it was nice to be able to be around all that.
That's so interesting. So when you were in your early years, did you have a vision at all for what you wanted to be?
I always wanted to be a cop.
So you did. That was just your career aspiration.
Man, because I saw my uncles, I saw cousins, I saw my dad. I saw all these guys doing some really cool things in life and helping people. And I was like, man, I want to do that. But when I turned 18, a friend of mine said, hey, I got a job for you. You can be a crane operator in the union, but you got to start as an oiler, but you're only making 25 as an oiler back then.
Okay.
As an oiler.
Wow.
When you were a cop, you're making 15, 16 bucks back then. So I was like, 25. My dad was like, don't do it. Be a cop. I'm like, no, Dad, I'm going to try this out. So then when I got into it, I got good at it. And, you just start making a lot of money. And before you know it, I'm making $1,500, $2,000 a week. Back then was a lot of money.
Sure.
I mean, it was a lot of money. And I look at my friends that all went into law enforcement, and they're all like making $600-700 a week, and I'm loaning them money. So I was like, I can't afford to be a cop. So I'd rather drive the nice truck. And then I married my first wife, and we had our child, and life goes on. And then you just start, you fall into your place that you're in, and so on and so forth.
Next thing you know, you blink and years have gone by.
20 years.
Yeah.
It's like, boom, it's gone.
So I mentioned also in the intro that you were a helicopter pilot.
Yes.
So how does that play into
So
what
in the
you were
union,
doing?
right? So in the union, they have what they call a helicopter pilot position.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not per se. I did fly helicopters.
Okay.
I didn't have my license per se to fly a helicopter. I was running the crane hoists in the helicopter.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's called a helicopter pilot in
Okay.
the union. And you actually, I did learn how to fly, but I didn't. And even when I went to Marion County Sheriff's Office, I went to go into the aviation unit. And when I interviewed with Spivey, I said to him, it's Captain Spivey, I said, hey, I don't have my license, but I do have experience, a lot of experience flying.
Okay.
So I was always up in the choppers, and we would set air conditioners and stuff like that, and I'd run the hoist. And then after a while, you get to know the pilots, and the pilots let me fly. Then I took lessons. I did take a lot of lessons on my own, and I was like an hours away from getting everything taken care of. And, life again changes.
Sure.
And you're like, I don't need it because I'm still flying. I'm still having a good life. I'm making money. So why do I got to pay 50 grand to go get my commercial license when I can just fly?
Yeah.
So it was interesting. And then the company I worked for at the time, they went out of business. 9/11 happened. And after 9/11, they wouldn't allow helicopters to land equipment on top of the buildings.
Okay.
For a long time.
Okay.
So then that went away, and then I went back into like the cranes, and I went back into the heavy equipment. And that's just not cranes. I can run excavators, dozers, everything. The union I was in it's an amazing union. But yeah, so it just turned out that's how that. So when I say helicopter, it's like to explain that to somebody.
Yeah.
See how long it took.
Yeah.
So
No,
I just
but I
say
appreciate
I flew helicopters, and I do fly. I've got plenty of videos of me flying, and
That's so cool.
yeah. And
well, I
it's a lot of
appreciate the
fun.
added context around
Yeah,
that. So,
yeah.
so tell me, as you look over your life up to this point, who has been one of the biggest role models for you in your life?
One of the biggest role models for me in my life. Wow. That's a good question. I'm going to have to say my stepfather.
Okay. And
Yeah, Larry Pilkington.
Tell me why. What was
Well,
it about your stepfather?
So when I moved down to Tennessee with my mom, and my dad got divorced. I moved in with a gentleman called Larry Pilkington. I didn't even know him at the time. He married my mom. My mom, my dad, they went their separate ways. I stayed with my dad. My dad and we had a falling out. And, when the kids at 14, you have a falling out, you're like, I'm going with my mom because the grass is greener on the other side. So sure enough, I jump in a car with my mom, and I leave, and I go down there with her. And he's one of those Southern gentlemen type of guys that you read about. And I was coming from the city, per se, coming to Tennessee from New Jersey. That's the city, And I came with an attitude, I'm, that Jersey boy attitude that you have. And within a summer, he set me straight.
Excellent.
And, and he taught me to slow down. And I didn't understand that at first, but he really took the time with me. He took me fishing. He spent the things that a father really needs to do. My dad was very busy all the time. Not that he was a bad dad. He was a dad. He was a cop. He is a business guy. He had 4 kids, single dad, 4 kids. My mom left. It's another story, but it was like he did a lot, So I don't blame him per se, but Larry, he just took the time, took me hunting, taught me all about the hunting, taught me how to clean a fish, taught me all the things that a boy should know, Go out to the car, change an alternator, put a starter in, all the things today a lot of kids don't know, right? So I think he was probably one of the biggest role models in my life. And then he also was one of those guys, again, integrity, honesty, didn't want anything but just love. That's all he wanted, just love.
Amazing.
Yeah, so he's a good dude.
I tell you what, you were definitely blessed to obviously have Larry in your life. It's amazing when people like that enter our lives at the right time for the right reason,
Right.
how they can impact us and really change the entire course of our lives and how we choose to move forward. So that's awesome. So We are going to take a brief break here to thank our amazing sponsors. My friends, don't you go anywhere. You're listening to Business Minds Coffee Chat. We will be right back. All right, we're back. And again, you're listening to Business Minds Coffee Chat, and I am in the studio today with my very special guest. I've got David here, and David's wife, Lana, is with us as well. So, David, before we took the break, of course, we were talking about kind of the early years in your life, role models, what you were doing in Jersey before you came here to Florida. And during the intro, when I introduced you, of course, I kind of gave a recap of just an incredible situation that you've been through and that you're still going through right now, trying to, working really hard to clear your name and rebuild your life. And, I'm not going to go back and restate what I said at the beginning, but based on the intro, is there anything specific that I left out that you think is important to mention before we continue our conversation here?
I think you touched base on everything. No, I mean, I think you touched base on everything. I mean,
Okay. I know it's high level. And,
yeah,
and
no,
obviously
no.
there's a lot of detail there.
Yeah,
that
you can go. We could sit here for hours
Sure.
and talk it out.
Sure. So here's what what I would love to find out from you, because you, both of you, have obviously been through just you use the word roller coaster here, right?
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure that's what it feels like almost on a daily basis. There's the ups, there's the downs, and that can be so trying on so many different levels, emotionally, financially, spiritually. I mean, I can't even imagine what it does to your relationship. But what I'd love to find out from you is, you have stated, I've heard you say that even with all of this, you still want to be in law enforcement.
I do, and that's what I'm fighting for right now, which is crazy. And I was on Randy Sutton. He's became a friend of ours. He's the founder of Wounded Blue, and he was one of the first podcasts I did. And at the end of the podcast, and Randy had to do the podcast in 2 sessions, he ended it, how we were going to end the podcast. And then when we got off the podcast, he goes, "Are you out of your mind?" He goes, he goes, "Everything you've been through, you want to be still in law enforcement." And I said, "Yeah, Randy, because it's something I've always wanted to do, and they've taken it from me when they shouldn't have." Mm-hmm. So I said, I don't feel comfortable with somebody taking something from me that I've earned. And he goes, "That's amazing." And right, he was just like, he goes, "I just can't believe it." He goes, "It just can't believe it." And I said, "Yeah, it's just because I have a calling. I do love what I do. Don't get me wrong, I love making pizza. I love feeding people. I mean, I get the biggest joy out of it when I walk out of that trailer and I see everybody eating that pizza, and I say, how is it? This is the best."
You do make an amazing pizza.
I appreciate that. And I'm like, it's a great feeling. But the flip side to that is there's no better feeling, and anybody in law enforcement will tell you, when you get that bad guy. That bad guy that was hurting people, that doing bad things to those kids or whatever it might be, and you get that bad guy, and you know that bad guy is never going to hurt somebody again. There's no better feeling.
Yeah, this is in your blood, man.
Yeah.
This is just part of your DNA.
Yeah, it's just something.
So tell us why you started the food truck business, which is now rolling into a brick and mortar. But why did you start that?
So funny thing was when what happened down in Marion County happened, I couldn't find a job. Nobody would hire me. Obviously, I had charges pending over my head. So
is that why nobody would hire you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I even applied to Uber, and Uber said, "No, I'm sorry, you have pending charges against you."
Okay.
So I was like, okay. So my wife's like, "Well, what are you going to do?" And she's like, she was just finishing up residency, not making a whole lot of money. And we were struggling, and I says, I know how to cook. I says, let's buy a food truck. I had some money saved, and we took a chance, and we went up to Jacksonville, Florida, and we bought this food truck, the Rancho, it's called. And man, you ever see that movie Chef?
Yes, I
That
have.
is what happened to me. I shit you not. You go look on my page. I could send you videos. I swear to you, I bought a 1985 Grumman, and I brought it home, and I had to take a power washer to it, and I power washed it out. I cleaned it out, put it all back together, went to the home restaurant depot, bought a bunch of food, got my license, did everything I was supposed to do, and I put it up on the corner down the street from us because it didn't go far because it needed a transmission right away. I'm not even
Wow.
kidding you. So then we put a transmission in it. Then we started driving back and forth to Gainesville. My attorney said, hey, you know what? You really don't need to live in Marion County anymore because of what's going on. It's better for you to leave because there are some, how do you say? I'll just say it, the crooked people around. You might want to leave so they don't jam you up any worse than they're already trying to.
Okay.
And that scared the hell out of us. So we moved in the middle of the night and we went back to Gainesville. We got out of Marion County, and
And it was just the two of you, right?
yeah, it was just the two of
Okay.
us. Yeah, yeah. And
You and the food truck that
yeah,
needed to,
yeah, and
needed to get out of town.
we beat it out of town.
Okay.
And went up to Gainesville, and we started a heck of a little business up there. And then I leased a food truck on top of a building, built that into a whole throughout the football season. We killed it. We did really well, made our money, but every time our bank account had a little money in it, that old truck would take it away. We needed to put a motor in it. It was comical. But anyway, long story short,
The money pit.
yeah, it was the money pit. And then so then we end up coming over. Well, Lana ended up finishing up her residency, and she got hired here in Advent. And then Advent Hospital, gave us a little bit of a bonus when she signed on. So we had a little extra money. We said, hey, you know what? We're going to move. Got our house here. I sold the food truck, got out of the food truck business for a little bit, did some odds and ends jobs. A friend of mine, Rob, who's my business partner now, did some land clearing with him, some odds and ends stuff. And then I said, you know what? I really want to make pizza. I've always liked pizza. I love making pizza. I want to make pizza. So I studied, figured it out, made a lot of pizzas. This poor woman ate a lot of pizzas until I got the formula right. And sure enough, I was working out of a tent. I shit you not, I started out of a tent at the farmer's market.
Okay. Right.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
And every weekend, I would pack up my Jeep with all my equipment, all my dough, and I would bring it to the farmer's market, and that balled into something. We earned up enough money to purchase our trailer, and we built the food trailer. The trailer, our start got down here at Coquino Coast.
Mm-hmm.
He
Right in their
gave us-
parking lot.
Yep, he
Yep.
gave me my first spot, and people started coming to the truck. They were like, "Oh, this is amazing! This is just amazing." So Jimmy, who runs the farmers market, says, "Hey, up on the corner across the street from the Funky Pelican, we have the parking lot. Would you like to park there during the week?" And I was like, "Yeah, that would be great." Then it just kept snowballing, and then Karen from the foodie group, she says, "Hey, I got a friend that's going to get rid of her building. Do you want the building? I think your pizza would do really well there." And I'm like, wait a minute. 9 months ago, I was in a tent. Now I'm in a food truck, and now I got to get a building. I'm
Now,
like,
meanwhile, during
All
all
of
of
this-
this, now, I just want to
Yep.
mention this one thing. During all of this, you are building a following,
yes.
right? Every step you've taken from tent to food truck sitting in a parking lot to food truck at on the weekend there in Flagler Beach to moving into the location where you are today, you have built a following based on reputation, based on quality, based on incredible taste and flavor, based on just delivering an outstanding culinary experience.
Yes.
Which, when we think about pizza, I love pizza, but what you've been able to create is quite frankly something magical, if that's the right word to use in this case. So I really appreciate and respect what you've been able to do as an entrepreneur, right? Building that business, building that following, delivering an excellent experience for your customers, treating people right. And I mean, you can go in a lot of different directions with this. Here's what I'd like to find out, and we've got just a couple of moments here, but give us a sense, because it's important to mention here that through everything that you've been through what the two of you have been through together, you are still fighting today, right? This is not an open and shut situation. You are fighting for your name, for your life, right? To rebuild this. What has this cost you? If you could summarize it very briefly, what has this cost you financially and emotionally? Just summarize it for me.
Financially, we're well over $200,000 in legal fees.
Okay. Emotionally, tell me what
Emotionally,
it's done.
It has put such a stress on my family because, look, nobody hates bad cops worse than cops, right? So my son's a cop. I have family that are cops. When they thought that I lied as a cop, they were like, they wanted nothing to do with me. So I had to rebuild that whole relationship with everybody again and show them and prove to everybody in my family, hey, look, here's the body worn cameras. Here's my report. Here's what they said I did. And here's what I did. And they're like, and I'm like, I don't even think the prosecutor to this day has ever watched those body worn cameras, which is obscene. Like, it's absurd. And it's anyone that watches those body worn cameras and reads my report, they're all like, but I don't understand. And it's exactly what I said and exactly what all my attorneys say. And it's literally the fact what they did to me emotionally. My wife and I, we were always strong throughout it. I have a super strong wife. Thank God that she loves me as much as she does. And she believed in me and believed in the situation. And she never faltered, ever, never doubted 1 minute. And that person next to me kept me strong for me to keep fighting. Because there's been times, I mean, I fell backwards. I went back. I was an alcoholic. I still am an alcoholic. I don't drink now, but I fell off the wagon because of it. I went back to drinking. That's when I found the Wounded Blue. I mean, that's a whole nother story, but the Wounded Blue is an excellent organization that helps cops like myself. And the stories that you can hear, it's endless. I'm not the only one that this happens to. It is endless.
So I would encourage our listeners and everyone that's watching right now, because obviously we don't have the time to be able to cover everything that we would like to cover here with this story, but I would encourage you to look up David's name with Marion County behind it and do your own research, right? You'll find plenty of information out there about
Absolutely.
what David has been through, what David and Lana together have been through, and the fight that they are fighting today to rebuild their lives and clear their names. So I want to thank you both so very much for being with me today on Business Minds Coffee Chat. Two things. Number one, I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you, and I love being a customer of yours.
I love
and
having
that
you.
will continue. And I just want you both to know how grateful I am for you for being here today and sharing part of your story.
Thank you. Thank you for
Absolutely.
having us. It's important that you get this out.
Absolutely. You got it. It is my pleasure. And for all of you, I want to thank you so very much for tuning into Business Minds Coffee Chat. We'll be back next Saturday morning at 8:30. And until then, my friends, keep learning, keep growing, and keep doing the work to reach your potential. Take care, everybody.